future of law enforcement lies in technology.
It is a perfect amalgamation of technology with human effort.
It's all about data, data, data.
AI could be used on a multitude of things. It's just how do you kind of make sure that the data you're getting gets smarter and the machine you're using gets smarter.
Never say impossible, any technology. You say impossible today, 10 years down the road, they prove you wrong.
Had it not been for forensic technology, I don't think we were able to crack this case itself.
All technology could be used for good or evil, right?
September 2017, Ms. Gauri Lankesh, a prolific writer, noted journalist, was shot down by unknown assailants at her home at around 8 o'clock. I was the Deputy Commissioner of Police West Division then. Her death and murder resulted in a lot of protest, and hue and cry was raised saying that how an unarmed lady can be murdered in front of her house just like that. Due to the sensitive nature of the case, a special investigation team was formed, and I was appointed as the Chief Investigation Officer of this case.
We share an office. I'm in the second floor and she's in the first floor. So I took her lunch, which I usually do. And I left her and I had to rush off to the studio. So she was talking with some people. So I said, okay, I will catch you later. I rushed off and I didn't see her after that. I was coming back from playing badminton and my mother called me and said, can you go back to Gauri's house? I believe she's fallen down. I don't know what's happened.
When we reached the scene of crime, the body of Ms. Lankesh was found at the porch of her house. There was a pool of blood around her. We were not able to initially make out where the injuries were because the cloth was blood-soaked.
I mean, I still sometimes believe she's not gone. I mean, except the image of what I see her that day, how she's fallen down. But then, yeah. Gauri somehow wanted to do journalism through various influences. One was my father, and one was her ex-husband, who wanted to be a journalist. So she went into that line of wanting to be a journalist. And she's worked for major newspapers and television channels. Whole idealism was there. I think the verve of being right and talking about the injustice and all that was there.
Karnataka's trajectory from a progressive, secular state to a communal state has been very interesting and crippling one.
My father was a leftist, so I mean, she went into the same path. She absolutely hated kind of ideology of extreme right wing. So that's one thing she's been attacking constantly for the last many years. When you compare to my father, I didn't think Gauri was doing anything that be so hated or have a vengeance against her that she would be killed or hurt or anything like that.
During the scene of crime access, we found Ms. Gauri Lankesh had installed 4 CCTV cameras in her house, and we were able to seize the CCTV DVR as well as the recording. From what we were able to determine is that 2 people had come on a bike. The bike rider parks the bike about 10 feet away from the house. She was returning home. She parks the car in front of her house, goes to open the gate. As soon as she's opening the gate, a person comes behind her and assaults her with a weapon. And she moves towards her house, and the assailant shoots at her 4 times. Three of the bullets strike her on her torso, and they cause grievous injuries, and they are fatal in nature. We had done a 2-kilometer search and survey of each and every house around Ms. Gauri Lankesh's house, but nobody had seen anything except for 2 eyewitnesses who had seen the 2 accused escaping from the scene of crime. If you look at the video footage, the accused is not visible in the sense he's wearing a helmet, and he's tried all methods to conceal his identity. And because of this, we had to use some new technology which would otherwise pinpoint him to that scene of crime. So we asked some image analysis experts. They said they can probably give us the height of the accused down to the nearest inch. They basically measured the pixels in each frame, and they were able to give us the height of the accused as 5 feet 1 inch plus or minus 1 inch. We realized after analyzing the height of the accused that he was a short-stature person. That was one lead that we had got then. Another thing that we did was a 5-kilometer radius was drawn around Ms. Gauri Lankesh's house. CCTV footage was taken which was analyzable. In the sense, the video was clear and decipherable. We got around 162 CCTV footages. We took the entire Bangalore city's traffic camera data, that's around 350 cameras, and it was around 200 terabytes of data. So we used a private company to analyze this data. So how did it is a machine learning and artificial intelligence was used. What they do is that they take the data, and based on our cues, they extract the image from that data. So the search we gave was 2 people wearing helmet on a bike. That reduced the data to that many number of bikes. Then as and when the investigation proceeded, we realized that the bike was a little bit red in color. So we excluded all other colors except red and black. And it narrowed down the search for this bike, basically. Even after reducing it to that bike, when we realized it is a particular brand of bike and a particular make of bike, in Karnataka there are 9,000 bikes, and each of the 9,000 bikes were searched for, and 40 were not found.
These people are quite smart. I will say they are smart, and they knew how the technology works. Like they knew that normal CCTV camera DVR will be having a storage capacity of only 15 days. So their recce was prior to 15 days from the date of offense. So that even if at the time of recce they had been caught in some camera, you will not get, because after 15 days it is rewritten.
In the analysis of the scene of crime, we used a grid and search method. Using that, we were able to find 4 fired cartridges and 3 fired bullets. The cartridge was about 7.65 mm caliber, and fired bullet, all the 3 bullets had exited her body. So they were scattered around the house. So we were able to seize them also. There was an eerie similarity between this murder and 3 other murders. First of Mr. Narendra Dabolkar, second of Mr. Govind Pansare, third of Mr. M.M. Kalburgi. There were some similarities between these 3 murders and the murder of Ms. Gauri Lankesh. So one team, they compared the forensic ballistics of the fired bullets and fired cartridges found on the scene of crime with that of these 3 murders. We found through forensic ballistics that it was fired through the same weapon. So we realized that all the 4 murders were connected, and that angle was given priority, and we started investigating further. We were doing Tavadam data of entire Bangalore city for a year and entire Karnataka state for about a month. There's no software available to analyze this data, so we had to write our own software and build a database.
First, right wing and left wing suspect numbers database ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಆ ಥರ ನನಗೆ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ಟಿಂದ ನನಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಬಂದು ಸಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ದು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಸಿಟಿ ಟವಡಂಪು ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ವಿ. ಅದು ಮತ್ತು ನಾನು ಸಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಮ್ಯಾಚ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಮ್ಯಾಚ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನನಗೆ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ 800 to 850 ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ನನಗೆ ಝೀರೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಫರ್ದರ್ ಅನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ 815 ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ತನಕ ನಾನು ತೊಗೊಂಬಂದೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ಸರ್ವಿಲೆನ್ಸಿಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ವಿ.
We zeroed down on few of the person, then we kept them under observation, surveillance, we can say physical surveillance also. And then after some time, really 5 months, we were able to get some leads.
ಸೊ ಈ 15 ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ನಾನು ಅನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ನಂಬರ್ ನನಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಸಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಯಿತು. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದು ಆ ನಂಬರ್ಗೆ ಕಾಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಇರೋದು ಗೌರಿ ಲಂಕೇಶ್ ಮನೆ ಟವಡಪ್ಪಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಸಿಕ್ತು. ಸೊ ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ಈ ನಂಬರ್ ನಾವು ಸಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ.
This kind of number crunching and analysis led us to the arrest of the first accused. He was related peripherally to the case. In fact, he had given the bullets, and he gave us some clues regarding this. We are calling it a criminal syndicate. That's the technical term that we have used. And of the other members of the syndicate, we got some vital clues, and the investigation picked up after that.
It's now been 9 months since the murder of the journalist Gauri Lankesh. Police in Bangalore say they've more or less cracked the case.
It was a blind case to start off with. So until we got the first lead, we were all groping in the dark. We were doing multiple angles. We were going through whether this is possible, that is possible. So that was first challenge. Then we found, whenever we caught one accused, it was never complete. So we had to use technology to buttress that or fill in that piece of puzzle. That was another obstacle. and amalgamating all these evidences. So whenever we catch a person, we have his technical data, we have a technical team sitting which is giving us leads, we have the field team which is giving us the leads, we have to collate, and we have to, it's like doing a jigsaw puzzle basically. So after about 9 months after we took up the investigation, we were able to arrest the shooter of Miss Gauri Lankesh.
26-year-old shooter Parshuram has been arrested. Sources have confirmed that Parshuram is the person who has shot Gauri Lankesh.
Police accused him of actually riding in the pillion, going to Gauri Lankesh's house, opening fire on her. Is the police convinced that they have evidence?
As soon as we got the main shooter, one, his height matched that we had found in the video analysis. Secondly, we were trying to find out how we can pinpoint him to the scene of crime, because he was wearing a helmet and we were not able to find his face in the CCTV footage. We had heard about this technology called as Gait analysis, which was used in other countries, but so far it has not been used here. And we were able to get in touch with the experts in the Gujarat Forensic Science Laboratory. And they suggested that it is possible to find out the gait of a person and pinpoint him to the scene of crime.
So basically, gait analysis is about the way people are moving, the way you stand, the way you give the different posture, the way you sit, wearing your clothes, even you put a hat on your head. These all are basically characterize yourself very, very individually. And that is used for the identification of the person, just like different biometric traits like a fingerprint or iris or DNA, like that.
It's like a digital or a signature which is unique to each and every individual person. So we were trying to match his gait with that of the person found in the CCTV footage. So actual reconstruction of the incident was done when the accused was caught, the shooter was caught. And we matched the footage in the same ambient conditions with that of the original CCTV footage.
So what we have done is we identify the movement of the person and the height of the person, the posture the man has while he is using something in his hand. So that all we have measured. Using that measurements, we come to a conclusion that this person is matched with the control, the person seen in the control video with the probable identity. That is, we can say it is 70 to 80% somewhere in between.
This is the first tangible evidence and the only tangible evidence that he's there. The sheer cold-bloodedness of the accused, I think that was quite shocking. I mean, in 11 years of experience, very few people are that cold-blooded or that determined and so engrossed in their own ideology that they can't see anything else. The incident happened on 5th September 2017. The SIT was formed on 7th September 2017. There are about 226 officers who have been involved in various capacities. We have about 43 officers and staff who are in the core team who have been there since the beginning. Through the efforts of these persons, we have been able to arrest 16 persons so far who are directly connected with the murder of Miss Gauri Lankesh. And the planning for Miss Gauri Lankesh's murder happened, I would say, a year before. And they had taken every precaution to ensure that they are not detected, and that made it very difficult for us. So this is a thorough professional organization in the sense there are set rules. A senior in the organization will not tell anything to the junior. Each member of the hit team will not speak to each other in any other language. They'll speak to in code names. They'll not talk about their backgrounds. They'll not talk about anything else apart from their job at hand. And so whenever you catch one person, he has only limited knowledge about the others. Each one had a particular role. Like there's a person who would shoot her, there's a person who'd take the shooter along with him, take him back. There's a person who'd be in the getaway vehicle, who'd then take the rider and shooter and drop them off so that they would go back in the bus back to their native places. There's a person who was tasked with destroying the materials used for the offense. The helmets, the shirts, the utensils used by them, the toothbrush, the soap, the shaving blades, everything was packed up and disposed of by one person. One person was tasked with doing that.
Breaking that code, it was like reverse engineering. You understand how they had developed their code, and you try to break the code in a backward way to reach to them. And that was really a nice challenge, and we could able to do it.
We have found evidence that they had in various stages of planning to murder other intellectuals and social activists who they thought were antagonistic to their ideals and their ideology. Hadn't it been for this forensic tools, I don't think it would have been possible for us to detect this case itself.
What we are doing now is the death investigation.
I'm supposed to collect the evidence around the body. So there appears to be a piece of rope.
VR, think of it like a lucid dream. So, you are aware of your dream in an environment that is totally new. The exciting part is once you wear that device, you will see a new dimension in a certain way. Right? So, as you wear it, you unlock a certain kind of like a shackle in a way. So, I see the potential and how it can be used to, to change how we live and how we work.
So it started off as a module for the criminal investigation, for the investigator to go to a crime scene, appreciate it, and walk through the scene, as well as do the tasks that they're supposed to do.
I am a senior crime scene specialist. I'm in the harness that helps me move around in the VR suite, and I'm wearing sockets that help with the movement forward and backward. I've been activated for a case of unnatural death. I would first talk to the IO, the investigative officer, to get some brief facts.
What we are doing now is the death investigation. This is to let our trainees walk through an unnatural death scene to see how they should process and manage the crime scene. So that's a fully immersive. You can interact with the object in the virtual environment.
I'm in the master bedroom, and it appears that there is a note on the bed. I'll inspect it closer. It appears to be a letter, and then I'll mark it out.
The VR system actually acts as a bridge to prepare the trainees from trainings to their actual working life. They let them immerse into a virtual crime scene. By the time they get to the actual work, they are better prepared now.
I'm supposed to collect the evidence around the body. The rope was probably cut by the first responders to let down the body. So from here on, I'll walk back and I'll try and document the scene with my camera.
Traditional training is more classroom-based, so we have to set up a room, you have to put in the sofa, you have to put in the table, you have to put in a bed, and all the props are there in. So it takes a lot of time. But with the VR system, we can create a scenario inside. All these objects are already in the library. So we can actually mix and match and around, and you can change the environment quickly.
I can also do some fingerprint processing. I would just select the powder I want to use, and I would have collected a fingerprint sample. And I'm done.
The traditional model of the teacher standing in front of the classroom telling how the world looks is totally changing when you are making use of the fact that you can create a crime scene within a classroom. And the officers with goggles, making use of augmented reality, mixed realities, are able to explore what all is happening in a crime scene.
The photographs that you have taken they are quite good. Okay, for these pictures, if you look at it, your placard is placed over the exhibits. In this manner, you will actually contaminate the evidence. So next time when you do it, you have to place the placard in front of it so that it will not block the view as well. I, from the older generations, and I've used it before, and my first experience was that I felt very dizzy. I have to put on the head-mounted device and walk in the virtual environment, so I feel a bit dizzy after that.
So in terms of, let's say, motion sickness and having the feeling of nausea after using it, after a while, it's definitely a valid concern. But I think just like all technology, if we want to move forward, we have to embrace their limitation first. Maybe we can just work on a scenario that requires you have more precision, for example. So you just have to be standing in one place, not moving too much, but you still have the benefit of fully simulated environment.
It's already immersive, but currently what we don't have here is the lack of tactile feedback. For example, I want to dust for fingerprint. I don't have the physical feel to use the powder, so you don't have the feel of it. And I think this is possible using the mixed reality.
So I think in the future, maybe we can, instead of, let's say, the army go physically to a battlefield, so maybe it is going to be an army of drones that is being controlled by the soldiers, by the operators somewhere in another safe place, right? So, but we are using virtual reality to have that connection. So now you can, as if you are in the battlefield yourself, you can walk around, you can see your surrounding, but now you are in the safety of your own home ground, definitely, right? So I think this is, again, one of the ways that we can use virtual reality for the future of policing, for law enforcement, and also for, let's say, the military.
So in Singapore, the three most commonly abused drugs in 2018 was methamphetamine, heroin, followed by new psychoactive substances.
People are able to spike MPS into the tobacco, and so even though it looks harmless, we do not know what it is. It's like a blank check until we have analyzed it.
Got a strange feeling. You got the devil in you. My heart beats like thunder, dancing under the moon. You made me
Singaporeans understand why and how we keep Singapore safe from drug traffickers. We are near the Golden Triangle. Trafficking of heroin and meth in this region alone is in the region of $32 billion. It's a very profitable industry. And it's attractive to international commercial syndicates. If we go soft, they will swamp us.
This is the illicit drugs laboratory where a lot of illegal drugs pass through our labs every day. Things like heroin, methamphetamine, ecstasy, as well as LSD stems, they pass through our lab. We perform analysis on seized drugs exhibits that's submitted by the law enforcement agency. Something that's recent in this part of the world is the new psychoactive substances, also known as MPS.
Nearly 1.9 kilograms of new psychoactive substances, or NPS, were seized in several raids across Singapore.
NPS are synthetic drugs that produce similar effects as traditional controlled drugs like cannabis and cocaine.
The trafficking, manufacture, import, export, possession, or consumption of these substances constitute an offence under the Misuse of Drugs Act.
So MPS is really a fast-evolving scene, keeping up with the new trends and keeping abreast of such developments is very difficult because they were specially designed to circumvent drug laws.
New psychoactive substances that the laboratory usually receives are in the form of vegetable matter, tablets or capsules, crystalline substances or powdery substances. They also come in stems, also known as blotter papers, or liquids.
So one of the cases that we have encountered is receiving of vegetable matter or tobacco leaves in packets which is labeled butterfly. So butterfly tobacco are like legit items that can be bought in shops around here, but people are able to spike MPS into the tobacco. And so even though it looks harmless, we do not know what it is. It's like a blank check. New psychoactive substance can be added in and we will not be able to know until we have analyzed it.
For normal traditional drugs, we use techniques such as the gas chromatography, mass spectrometry. Gas chromatography is a technique which separates the components found in the drug sample, and mass spectrometry is a detector which actually detects the substances that's present.
So the experiment that we have done was chromatography. I have used the pen and drawn on the silica plate, so it's not any other plate that can do it. And once I have done that, I have put it into the tank where it's filled with solvent. So as the solvent interacts with the plate and moves up the plate, it actually separates the different components in this pen into what you see on the plate now, whereby there are pink and blue in it. So the separation of individual components from a mixture is known as chromatography.
When we analyze using gas chromatography, mass spectrometry, we may not be able to detect the NPS. Therefore, we have to move to newer techniques known as the GCIRD.
What's amazing is that the GC technology has always been there. The IR technology has always been there. Someone decided that they should couple it together and to make it into a hyphenated technique, so it gives you the best of both worlds, especially when we are dealing with samples where it has more than one compounds in it. What we have just done was to actually put the sample here for the analysis, after which it has gone through the injection port, goes through the separation process in here, and it travels onto the detector. And once it gets deposited onto the supercooled disc, that's when it turns into a solid. Just like when you breathe onto a very cold mirror and like you get that condensation, that's exactly how it works. This is the first time that we are getting a solid deposit of the separated component onto the disc, and it gets analyzed as a solid. With the solid deposition, it improves the resolution as well as the sensitivity of this detection mode. So this is the result from like our analysis that we ran just now. Okay, so right here you would see that here it looks a bit different. This portion as well is a bit different. So we probably need to do further investigation, but it's definitely something appearing as a new MPS.
Moving forward, as scientists, we would like to see handheld devices, a combination of handheld devices which can easily just detect without much sample preparation for analysis. This is something that we would want in the future.
We have 9,200 cameras and it's ongoing. Our operation is 100% to make sure that Dubai is covered on every single sector.
Surveillance without intrusion is important, right? So it depends on the people using it.
Dubai is an international hub. We have 210 nationalities in Dubai. Dubai right now has a 99% population safety. Reaching to that level means that the population are secure to come, to work, to live their life in Dubai.
Police forces in the world are changing towards adopting more digital technologies. So we have many initiatives, some of them are related to Internet of Things, some of them related to artificial intelligence. So we look at these emerging technologies and how we can utilize them in policing forces. The smart police station is 24/7 police station. We deploy it in tourist locations and it has no human police officers.
This smart police station will give you whatever you like. You want to speak to an officer, you have an issue, you're shy to go to a police station, or you don't want to go to a police station. You can speak to him directly. You can sit down, a live feed between you and an officer, he can solve your situation.
I would like to make a complaint.
Okay, no problem, sir.
I received a call from one person. He said he's from the bank. He told me my card bank is blocked. Okay. So he asked me for the details of the card.
All the account details that you gave him?
I gave him all the account details.
What is exactly the amount that has been taken from you?
20,000 dirhams.
And what was the time when did you receive the call?
Afternoon, like 4 o'clock.
You took from them the documents to prove that they took the money from you from the bank?
Yeah, I have the statement.
Okay, so this is the statement. I will sign it for you now. Just press for me and sign for me the document that's in front of you. Whenever you will sign, I'll just give you the complaint number that's here for you. Smart police station is also an innovative way of looking at traditional police stations. So instead of our officer serving only in one location, he could serve like 10, 20 locations from a central location.
We found to be popular, especially among female citizens or residents, because they maybe feel like it's a barrier to go out to police station. It's not something that culturally is acceptable.
This is one of the operation rooms in Dubai Police. The operation room of Dubai Police is the heart of Dubai. We have 9,200 cameras and it's ongoing. Surveilling everything, we have 7,200 only on the roads. We are connected into all of the cameras around Dubai, the metro stations, the malls, the roads. Our operation is 100% to make sure that Dubai is covered on every single sector.
In terms of cameras, we could consider them as IoT devices. They have their small memory and small processor, so each camera would say, okay, there is something suspicious going here, and then only communicate when there is an abnormal behavior to the command and control center. So you could ask the cameras on the edge to take decisions and say, only report to me once there is something wrong.
We had an incident before where the live camera showed us a pedestrian walking with a heart issue.
Calling unit 4-5, unit 4-5 dispatch.
Directly, the call dispatcher sent an ambulance to rescue the guy. In the same incident, we caught 2 people who were robbing a shop. So the cameras does most of the work. Regarding the heart patients, most of the people that has a heart problem has been registered before the Dubai Health Authority. We have took this database and downloaded it to our system. We have took the locations of their houses. Once we do this, we know exactly where he is. So automatically the system knows that an ambulance should go to see what's wrong with him.
A surveillance without intrusion is important. I think all technology, it could be used for good or evil, right? So it depends on the people using it. When I worked with Dubai Police, you could see that there's all this data coming in, right? You have your ID, you have this, but the aim was not surveillance. The way, when we built it, data was masked. So no individual at a certain level does have access to that. You have to have very high clearance to be able to see all the link. So if somebody would take advantage of that information, you could easily identify who the culprit would be.
It's all about data, data, data. And the fear that we potentially in the future will not be able to access all this data. Because the volumes are so massive that as a law enforcement organization, we potentially will have the information in our systems, but are not able to get it out. And that, I feel, for my colleagues in the world, is one of the biggest fears.
درون واحد دوابة كذلك للعلم حاليا متجه إلى دوال المركز التجاري وذلك لوجود حاز بليغ مع اختناق مروري للتأكد من انسيابية الحركة.
Yes, we have cameras, 9,200 cameras, but the drone makes a huge difference in Dubai Police. The drone gives you like a bird view from the top. The drones helps a lot in Dubai Police to see most of the accidents happen in Dubai. We're using them oftenly right now.
The main idea is that once you have the eye in the sky, that location is tactical as well, because in open space, you cannot just put a camera in the middle of the sky, you don't have infrastructure, you cannot connect it. This gives you flexibility. They have infrared cameras as well.
A drone can be easily a threat if you put some biological chemicals in it. At the same time, policing can use drones as a tool. A drone can easily identify where the hotspots are, and give first and real-time information to our control rooms.
One more time. Yeah, down.
Nothing comes easy, especially when it comes to emerging technologies. It is a long way, it's a whole process. It's not like I'm buying something off the shelf and then deploying it. No, it takes time and efforts. But never say impossible in any technology. You say impossible today, 10 years down the road, they prove you wrong.